Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we actually have another question that was asked to the channel that we're going to answer. And hopefully by answering this, it helps provide an answer to a lot of the viewers who might have a similar question. Like I always like to reiterate, this channel is about improvement, self-help, and somebody trying to just better themselves and better their life. So hopefully answering these questions will help you accomplish that. So with that being said, we're going to dive into the question is, should women have standards? Sometimes it's thrown around because currently right now in the climate we're in, we are in the climate of this kind of heavy man movement, which is trying to reestablish a man's power in the world, a man's presence, we should say, because right now a lot of men are being, obviously you hear terms like simp. You have men who are falling prey to, who are becoming weaker in society because society is telling them that, media is telling them that, and over the years they learn to become weaker men, but that's not really what women want. So it becomes a contradiction of the world telling them that, while meanwhile it's the opposite of what they should be. So with that being said, this man movement is pushing out the idea that men should have standards because women have standards. They have high standards a lot of times. And it's saying like, well, women have standards. And then so women's counter question to that has been, should women have standards as well? Because they're like, well, should I put up with this or that, blah, blah, if these men or these alpha men or whatever type of men you want to call them, sigma men, all these kind of different terms they call, but just a strong man who especially has established himself. And so he's going to say, well, I demand more because I have elevated myself. So in answer to the question, this is what it really breaks down to when it says, should women have standards? They actually do. They actually have high standards. But the problem is that they don't understand is that they have too many standards, and there are certain standards that are very high that a guy supplies that is not guaranteed and is not automatic. But a lot of people think that it is automatic, especially when you have a lot of women who go out there saying, I want princess treatment. And I hate that concept because it's like nobody just automatically deserves to be treated a certain way. If you want to be treated like a princess, or a queen, you need to treat a man like a king because he's the one who's actually providing you that treatment in return. So you have to treat him like a king. He just doesn't automatically give you that. On top of that, if the man worked hard to build himself to be a king, he's not expected to be treated like a king for free. He's expecting to be treated like a king because he did so much work to build himself up and establish himself that he wants to be rewarded by sharing his lifestyle with somebody. So that's why he's requests and desires to be treated like a king, because he's sharing what he worked so hard for. In return, the woman shouldn't just be treated like a queen just because she says I want to be treated like a queen. She should be treated like a queen only when she puts in the work of treating that man like a king. Now, you might also say on the reverse argument, and this is derailing from the question, well, what if a woman works hard and she does all this stuff, that shouldn't she be treated like a queen too? Yes, but I'm going to tell you this. One, guys don't want a woman for her money, so that's irrelevant. Two, most of the time when a woman makes money, she doesn't spend it on a guy in the first place. And most guys can account for that. So if you want to put that in the comments for any woman who thinks otherwise, all the men who's watching this video, post in the comments that if you've ever been with somebody, a girlfriend, wife, whatever, that have they ever spent their money, if they make money, have they ever spent their money on you? And I'm not talking about a little cheesy gift here and there during the holidays. I mean, have they spent the equal amount of money that you spent on them on you? And do they pay half of the bills of the household like you do? If not, then like I said, that's not a scenario in which a guy's gonna say, well, okay, like I care about a woman's money because I'm not getting it anyway, regardless of how much she's making. So anyway, I digress. So in answering to the question, going back to the question and me saying, like, as I stated, they do have high standards, but some of the standards that come naturally automatic is a guy provides finance and security and protection. And essentially I'm going to actually break some of those things down too, because I like to say that when a guy, when he provides, finance, finance and I guess security, you could say is kind of the same thing, but there's a third thing too. That would just be him making money and you having a kind of a stable life. But then in addition to that, obviously, there's protection. But the third thing I like to always say and emphasize is they do future planning, structure. So there's growth, but growth not just for the two. This is the part that a lot of women sometimes don't recognize or care for, but men always do, and that is they do growth for generational growth. When a guy is has a lady and he has a kid with them or plans to have a kid with them, he's planning for generational growth. He wants his kids to have money. He wants them to have an empire. So that's part of it too. So it's a guy provides financial stability or slash security, future planning, and protection. So those three things are major things. They're major things. And the issue when it comes to women saying about having a standard is that women then also say, well, I want them to also be charismatic. I want them to be, super attractive. I want them to be all these kind of other things. And it's fine if they have those things. But if the guy doesn't have it, you're already demanding three of the most super valuable things that you can ever imagine. Those things are infinitely valuable. Like you can't even put a scale on it. Protection, automatically. A guy goes on a date with a woman for the first time. And I was saying this to a friend of mine the other day. Guy goes on a date with a woman for the first time. If somebody, like he goes to a restaurant, if someone comes to rob that or stick up that restaurant, he's jumping in the way of that female. He doesn't even know her. He could be his first date. It's just his instinct. So that alone demands that she should be able to get anything from the woman that he's dating, or she should be treating him like a king because he's willing to put his life on the line. So with that being said, women need to start thinking to themselves when it comes to the question of should they have standards. Well, then you have to ask yourself, what's more important? Looks, charisma, all these other kind of things, or you getting financial security, future planning, and protection? Those three things that you just think automatically come natural when you're with somebody. What if you didn't get those things? Would you be willing to trade those things just for somebody who is, charismatic, this and that, all these other kind of things? And the truth is, there's a lot of women who actually do that, not knowing they do that when they get with a guy who doesn't have their stuff going on. This is usually at a young age, in their young 20s or mid 20s. The guy is like super charismatic, really, he's funny, he's, aggressive, he's all these kind of things. He's like the alpha, he's all these kind of things. But that same guy may not even have a job. And in that case, in those situations where women forego those three main things that I mentioned, they end up seeing that their relationship never ends up working out. And I've spoken to a lot of females who actually say the same thing. Oh man, like it never ends up working out. And I try to help get them to improve, but eventually I end up having to leave them because they're never going to change. Well, yeah, because you gave up the three major things that you needed to keep on the plate. But those three major things is a high standard to have. So yes, women have standards. Their standards are higher than men all the time. Even when a woman is looking for a very unattractive guy, her standards are still higher than the man, because those three things a man brings to the table is worth more than a woman's attractiveness. Now, there are things that women can bring to the table too that are considered very high, and very meaningful. But a lot of times these days, women don't bring that, and that is submissiveness. That is really, that is really catering to the man in terms of making sure that he feels good, that you're uplifting him, telling positive things every day, make him feel good, like all those kind of little things. Not realizing how far that goes with the man, and he'll give it back in return. But anyway, I digress from the original question of if women have standards. Yes, they have standards. Should they have standards? They already do have standards, and they're very high. And I'm going to leave it at that. And if you have any comments, questions, leave them inside the comment section down below. And with that being said, we'll catch you guys in the next video.